Well, welcome Life West community to another weekly podcast. Dr. Ron Oberstein, nice to be sitting in with you. And I have a wonderful guest with me today. I've got Dr. Michele Bahadoor. Welcome, Dr. Michele.
Thank you, Dr. Oberstein. I'm very happy to be here.
Great to have you here. And for those of you who don't know Michele graduated in the summer of 2019, and she is our first resident. She actually jumped in the pool with us as the first person in the pool in our Masters of Science and Diagnostic Imaging program at Life West, our MSDI program. And we were really thrilled, Michele, that you came on board. And, you know, obviously radiology is a passion of yours, right?
Yeah.
It's just so cool. So share with us, first of all, what's the experience been like? You finished your first full year, right, of the radiology program, right? It's a 3-year residency. Tell us how that experience went.
The first year went very interesting. There was a lot of, I think we were able to get through a lot of challenges, you know, being a first year or starting out as like a first year program. It's just a lot of new content to consume, which has been great. And I've been learning a lot. Being able to interact with the DAC bars has been so much fun. Yeah. And yeah, it's been a challenging, but in a good way kind of experience, as I expect a residency program to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And listen, the program, the director of the program is Dr. Motley, right? Dr. Jamie Motley.
Yep.
So are you like just, you know, tied to the hip, where you guys are constantly in communication and talking? I know you work with the other DAC bars also, right?
Yeah, I try to keep her updated throughout the week on what I'm doing. I like to bother her and tell her all the tasks that I've been able to complete, and like just trying to keep her updated. And I think she appreciates that. And yeah, she's very organized, and I think we're just trying to make sure that we're staying on task and getting through each quarter and making sure, you know, we get through the syllabus, get through teaching, get through all these other tasks that are built into the program.
Right. And I know, listen, obviously you're learning a ton. And I will tell you this, on all of my surveys that we do, the exit interviews, which I had you in one of the exit interviews, you know, when you were graduating, it's always the radiology department always gets a phenomenally high mark, you know, because our students just really learn a tremendous amount in radiology, you know, and it's just so cool. And then watch you kind of moving through this and, you know, to become a radiologist, right? To become not just a DAC bar, but have a master's in that. Share with us some things that you've learned. You know, what have you learned in the program?
I think throughout the year, so I'll start with, I guess we'll go through each of the DAC bars since I've had the opportunity to work with them on a weekly basis. So I think from Dr. Gatterman, who is basically like the OG in radiology.
He is the original gangster, isn't he?
Yeah.
I had him as a radiology teacher when he was at Western States.
Oh, really?
He was in the residency program like you, I think, at the time, and he taught one of my lab classes. I started at Western States. Dr. Gatterman was one of my instructors.
Yeah, he's excellent. But I think what he's taught me is to trust my eyes and like don't second guess yourself when you see something on a film. So that's been a lot of fun. I mean, it's been challenging not to second guess yourself in general. And then especially when it comes to film, you know, the image is like right there in front of you. So you really have to go with your first instinct on any abnormalities that you see. And like, that's really a skill that you have to develop. So that's been fun doing that.
Yeah.
He's also taught me not to answer a question with "I don't know."
What's that, Doc?
Yeah, I used to answer it like, "Oh, I don't know," and he would just look at me like, "Really? You don't know?" So again, trying to like go with your first instinct.
Right.
Yeah, and then from Dr. Schwartz. So she's the most recent DAC bar to have completed a residency program out of the 3 that I work with. And I think she's taught me like the value of unconditional support. I think throughout the years, again, like all the challenges we ran into, she's really like been there for me and been able to give me really good advice on getting through the program. And like dealing with challenges outside of the program that you wouldn't think would affect your work inside the program.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So yeah, she's been really good at that. She's the one who actually planted the seed in my head to start the DACBAR program or to consider it.
Nice.
Yeah, I was giving in one of my midterms in RAD 2. And as I gave her my midterm, she was like, you should consider doing the DACBAR program. And I kind of like laughed. And I was like, because I've never considered it. So she's really good at, trying to get people to consider new options as well.
Which is great, because if she saw something in you being a radiologist, right, and she saw something in you, that speaks volumes. And to any of our students who are listening, right, if she says that, or Dr. Gatterman or Dr. Motley or even Dr. Michele, right, if someone sees something in you, take a look at that because it sparks something, right?
Yeah, because I was definitely like going down a different path and, obviously wanting to practice and go that route. And then, I don't know, she told me this and then my intrigue has never gone away since then.
I love it. She's awesome. And how about Dr. Motley?
And then from Dr. Motley, I would say the biggest thing, well, when I was applying to do the residency, her biggest advice to me was, she said the best chance I have of getting into the program was to be myself. And I was like, what do you mean? But like,
who am I?
Right? That's all that. Anyways, yeah. So I think just knowing that it's okay to like stay true to myself and do the program as best as I can is enough. That's been like a really good lesson. And then working with her throughout the year, she's taught me, I guess she's really good at moving on from her mistakes. So which she doesn't do often, but if she does make a mistake, she kind of just addresses it and then is able to move on right away and like find a solution for it. So that's been a really good lesson as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And, the beautiful thing about, those three, Doctors Motley, Gatterman, and Shorts is that I think you said it, Dr. Michele, they're just really real people. They're just great people. Right.
Yeah.
And if they can teach you how to stay humble and stay who you are and learn this process and go through it, even as you're teaching, even as people rely on you to read radiographs, to read MRIs, with major issues, that's how we do our best work, right? By being who we are. And
yeah, exactly. Because I think like the knowledge from the academics will come and it'll get there, but being able to do it the best that you can will really make a difference.
Absolutely. So let me ask you one last question, because obviously it's been a very interesting year, right? I mean, you started the program, it was pre-COVID. We went into COVID and everything's just been, I get it. The train kind of went off the tracks and then Dr. Motley had to figure out what to do and we weren't on campus. And, it's one thing to do it for teaching. It's another for a brand new master's program. But I know she did a phenomenal job. And, but how have you adapted, to COVID and being 1 year out of school and what you've learned in chiropractic, right? Going through school, how's your adaptation been?
I would say at the beginning, going into the quarantine, I had a lot of expectations on how I would deal with it, mainly because the program is a lot of self-study and transitioning the work to be online. It wasn't, it was challenging, but it was doable, right?
Yeah.
But then I would say to maintain like a healthy lifestyle, to maintain homeostasis and like your stress levels, really. I think dealing with that was a challenge. Yeah, that was definitely a challenge. But luckily from school, learning like consistency, learning how nutrition, your outer environment can really affect your body physically, and just learning to stay in tune with what you're going through on, like, first of all, a physical level, because we know like how that affects
Right.
the body, but then also mentally and all of that. Just being aware of how you're being affected was really hard to do.
Yeah, and
I would say, or yeah, go ahead.
no, it's so interesting because it's really what you just said. It's like, you just talked about physical, chemical, and emotional, right? Which we know are the three toxins, right? But what you just said is so true. It's like, we don't get to step outside ourselves and say, wait a minute, how is Michele, how is Ron really doing? Because when you're stuck inside and you're going through all this stuff, you're just looking to the outside, and it might take someone to come up to you. It's happened to me, which was, I'm very thankful, come and say, are you stressed? Are you okay? And it's like, oh my God, yeah, I am. You're not even knowing it, because we're going through these new challenges that are there, right?
Yeah, and I think right now, like, obviously my priority is the residency program. So I just want to see that progress. And thankfully that's been able to progress, like the last 2 quarters being in quarantine. And then it's like, well, how is everything else doing?
What else is there, right?
Okay, well, how's the other aspects of my life doing? So.
Exactly. And it's so important. And I think you hit it, to try and keep as good a balance as you can with what we have available, right?
Yeah.
That's the key.
So with that, like maintaining your nutrition, trying to move around, trying to work out. I think the thing I've been able to actually maintain is my sleep schedule, which I think that's, like, for me, the bare minimum amount of effort something takes, but like the maximum reward.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, it's so cool. And I just want to just share with you that I am thrilled. I got to meet your parents at graduation, and I know that, you were thinking about going home, right? Were you thinking about going back to Canada?
Yeah, I would have wanted to go home this summer for a break.
Yeah.
Are you asking about working in Canada?
No, originally when you graduated, you were possibly thinking, or before graduation, you were thinking about possibly going back to Canada. Then you ended up, no, you're never going back?
No, I was always going to stay here.
Okay, were you?
I didn't take Canadian boards. I was like,
oh, I didn't know that. I thought you were heading back, and then.
I think I'm like one of the only Canadians who didn't take Canadian boards.
Oh, well, I'm glad you didn't, because guess what? We got to get you have you as our first intern, and I'm really thrilled. And when you got the position, I know that there was a few people who were just really going for it, and I knew that whoever got it would have been perfect, and you are perfect. And so thank you for having the courage, the insight, and also the adventurism within you to start a program like this, being the first person to start the program. And now we're bringing our second person on, right, who I'm sure you'll be working with, right? And then next year we'll have our third person, and there'll always be 3. So I just want to thank you, Dr. Michele, for all that you've stepped into, and I know you'll make our program proud, as when you graduate the program, and I'm going to be thrilled to be able to hand you a degree, because you will be going through the graduation process again from the master's.
Is that my second one that you'll be giving?
The second one, exactly. That's it then, just 2. And then, but I'm so thrilled. And then, for all of our listeners, Dr. Michele, we always end our podcast in the same way, always. It's a question I'm going to ask you. The answer can change in a minute if you give me an answer now. Can change in a minute. There's no wrong answer. But so just go from what's happening within you at this particular time. Our ethos of lasting purpose: give, do, love, and serve. Out of those 4 words, give, do, love, and serve, which word right now resonates with you, and why?
Oh, serve. Probably serve.
Good. Why?
I think putting in the work to really do my best throughout this residency will make the biggest contribution to the chiropractic profession that I personally can make, with my set of skills and, whatever that means.
No.
So I think for me, what's getting me through the tough times is knowing that this will be of service to a lot of patients and students in the future.
Yep, to humanity. And it's so important. And that's why we put the program together, by the way, so we can put out, radiologists, right, who come from a vitalistic nature, right, and also understand the subluxation and can serve, the community, serve the patients, serve the community of doctors, right, out there who will be sending films and all that kind of stuff. So, and then possibly teaching also. So there's so many very cool things. So I love that word.
It through the lens of radiology.
There you go. So for our listeners today, if once things kind of get back to normal and we're on campus more, make sure go upstairs in the upstairs part of the clinic, right? Yep. And the radiology department, ask for Dr. Michele. She'll be up there. I'm sure it's at different times, and make sure you meet with her. If you got questions as a student, obviously she's going to be teaching. She's teaching courses right now, some lab courses right now, but and positioning. But please make sure that you connect with her. She's got a wealth of knowledge. Dr. Michele, thank you for being with us today and sharing from your heart and what's going on.
Oh, can I mention one more thing? Absolutely. About when you had mentioned my parents? My dad is still bugging me to go golfing with you.
Okay, good. So I'll tell a quick story really quick. Your dad was at graduation. He came to the dinner the night before, right? He had shorts on, a golf shirt on, which I thought was amazing. And you were like, "Oh my God, Dad, you're not dressed up," kind of thing. I said, No, it's perfect. He had just got done playing golf at one of the courses. And I did say to him, "Hey, when you come back, we're going to have to go hit some courses." So we will get him, and we'll talk about bringing him possibly down to visit you during our Life West Golf Classic, so you can golf in that also. So we'll talk about that. Yeah, because we're having a golf classic coming up. I believe it's sometime in the spring. So so we'll make sure that happens.
I'm thrilled.
Your parents are awesome. All right. Well, to our listeners, thank you for listening with us today. To Dr. Michele, thank you for all that you're doing for the college, you're doing for chiropractic, and for everybody, let's just stay safe and let's make sure that we live our lives from above down and inside out, keep spreading the love. And as Dr. Michele said, keep serving others. So until next week, we'll be back at you with another podcast. Until then, love those around you. See you later.